Okay, Madam Mayor, we're now live on YouTube.
Oh, good evening, everyone. This is the Macclesfield Town Council's full meeting on the 14th of December 2020. You can watch us on Macclesfield Town Council YouTube because of the COVID restrictions. So let's start our agenda. So do we have any apologies for absence?
No, Madam Mayor.
No, lovely. And are there any declarations of interest, item 2? Councillor Puttick and then Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 8.2 for the Barnaby Parade application, because I've been part of the previous community incarnations of it, and also currently working with a number of other organisations on something which potentially could work with Barnaby in the future.
Thank you, Neil. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 10, budget. Within the budget report, it mentions the CAB, and I'm a trustee of the CAB. It's a non-pecuniary interest.
Lovely, thank you, Janet. Lovely. So let's go on to we'll now adjourn the meeting to invite some comments and questions from the public. And we're going to start off with Will McCullough from the Citizens Advice Bureau. Will.
Thanks very much. Yeah, look, Laura advised that 3 minutes, no more, so I'll be brief as possible. But if anyone's got any questions, and obviously I'm very happy to take those. I've submitted a couple of quarterly reports to the council since the beginning of the year, and if anybody wants any questions regarding that, then happy to speak to those. What I just wanted to do during the 2.5 minutes now that I have was to give a bit of an overview of the work that we've been doing this year, and obviously notably during COVID. In March, we stopped delivering our face-to-face services and we moved to a telephone, email and a web chat. And from our 48 volunteer advisors, we were able to equip 19 volunteer advisors to work from home. We've kept our client-facing staff part-time, paid staff of 7 people, and they've continued to operate in a similar kind of way. And what we're seeing if we take the 9 months from January to the end of November, is a significant increase in both the numbers of clients approaching us and all the areas of inquiry. And hopefully not to overwhelm you with numbers, but in 2019, from the 1st of January to the 31st of November, we saw 3,312 clients. In this year, for the same period, we saw 4,354, so that's an increase of 1,042 individual clients. There was also an increase in inquiries, overall inquiries, from 9,326 to 9,828. Not as much an increase, but 494 all the same. And that increase is reflected in all our areas of inquiry, with the one exception, debt. Because of the government's restrictions on debt collection and action by landlords, we actually saw a reduction in people approaching us for help from 1,950 to 1,132. That's 814 less clients approaching us for debt advice during a time when we have a significant demand for our services. So we expect next year, once the impact of COVID has been seen around things like job losses, reductions in income, housing repossessions, bailiffs action, so on, we strongly suspect that increase in demand in debt is going to be reflective of the overall increase in demand that we've seen throughout the year. The pattern that we're seeing locally is shared across the country, the kind of inquiries that we're dealing with. And I guess if I'm asking the council to go away with anything, it's that next year we're going to see a significant increase in the demand for those kind of services. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Will, and thanks again to you and all the volunteers for the amazing work that you do. and as you've said, I think it will just increase over the coming years. So thank you very much. So we'll have our next speaker. I'm sure people can contact Will directly. We've got a lot to get through on the agenda, but thank you very much for that report, Will. And next speaker is Patrick from the football club.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you for having me back. I'm Patrick Birch, now a board member at Macclesfield FC, and to follow Lindsay Brown, fellow board member and the club's head of operations. Last time I was here was 28th of September. The club had been liquidated and we were discussing our hopes and fears. Our ambition was to secure a football club at the heart of the community. Rob Smethurst bought the club on the 13th of October, and in just 9 weeks, Rob Smethurst and Robbie Savage have given the fans and the community their club back. I hope you'd agree. With Rob Smethurst's plans and Robbie Savage's profile, the impact these two have had in such a short amount of time is unbelievable. Rob Smethurst's vision is far wider than just the football club. It's a 7-day-a-week operation. We're talking about a 3G synthetic pitch, which you'll see we're already progressing at the moment with an academy, with a women's football team, elite women's football team as well. Talking gymnasium, sports bar open from 3 p.m. 7 days a week, revamped car park to support the business. Ultimately, a community centre too, which, yes, it'll be the fans bar and match day, but it will also be the classrooms for the academy. It will also be available for community use 2 days a week. So the business model is the pitch, the gymnasium, the bar. They're all assets in their own right, but they're all generating surplus income, which will help sustain the football team as well as hopefully we progress through the football hierarchy. But flagging up here too, the opportunity for the community with all these assets, getting involved in the activities, using those activities, opportunities there for training and jobs coming out of that business. So we've got to work together, haven't we, to grasp the opportunities that this new facility is bringing. The reaction that we've had from fans to what's been going on over the last 9 weeks has been truly amazing too. It's great to see a number of you here who've signed up for the memberships, which is great. We're up to 400 memberships, which is a great start. We started that in October. Just last Friday, we launched pre-buying of season tickets. We've already sold 200 of those. So anyone tempted, please join us. Commercial family have been incredibly supportive too. Robbie's presence helps here, both on a national level, the likes of Boohoo and Leasing.com, local businesses too, big brands, Spiral, many others. Apologies, can't mention them all. Getting involved. And again, anyone listening, people who are interested, please get involved. There are great things happening. In preparation for this, I spoke briefly with Fiona and Chris, and Fiona's highlighting the importance of Macclesfield FC engaging with the Moss Rose Partnership. We will do that. We've talked about the planning applications, initially 3G and the floodlights. We must progress those. Talked about grant funding, potentially in the new year, a crowdfunder as well. And all these things, if we proceed, your involvement will be much appreciated. That's just a brief summary of some of the things that have been happening. I can't believe it is just 9 weeks. Our application goes to the league and the FA at the end of this week about what league we're going to be in. It's likely to be the Northwest Counties. It'll be for others to decide precisely where we're going. But wherever in the football pyramid we start, the important thing now is we've got our club back. The club's going to be run in the right way, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The town's helping the club, and the club are helping the town. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Patrick.
Well done, Patrick. You just got it in there at the last minute.
Did I just get in there? I thought I'd just get a bit over there.
Brilliant,
Thank you.
Brilliant. And you've got quite a few season ticket holders here already.
I know, yeah, very good.
So you're very welcome. So let's go on to Lindsay now as our next speaker.
Hi, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so I'm Lindsay Brown, Head of Business now at MAC, and on the board with Patrick and the others. First of all, thank you so much to everybody that's helped us get this far in only 9 weeks. It's absolutely amazing. I'm really proud to be the only female on the board. And I've worked with Rob and Robbie for a long time, so we work well together, so hopefully we'll be a good team. I'm really keen to get women's football and the women's and girls initiatives going as well. As part of the club, I will champion us girls all the way through. So that's something that I'm really keen on. Just wanted to touch on slightly, I'm not sure if you're aware, we just partnered with Alzheimer's. They're now going to be our official charity partner. We will work with other local charities as well, of course, but we're working with them. The club web shop currently has a voluntary donation section when people want to buy online. She's going to help raise charities, and one of the things that's key on my agenda is becoming a dementia friendly ground, working with them. So I think that's something that we can really shout about over the next kind of few weeks and months. The only things that I really want to talk about from my perspective, selfishly, is things such to do with the trademark. I know I've already spoken to you, Laura, about that. I did apply to trademark the new logo for the club. So all we've actually done is remove the word town and change the colour of the stars. And I applied for that, but then when they did come back to me, the Intellectual Property Office, and say that there was I'm just going to check my figures, a protected emblem from 1874 as part of Macclesfield. And if we do want to, yes, exactly. And if we do want to use that logo and protect it, then obviously we need your advice and support on that. So I would greatly appreciate if you could do that for me. Obviously, it protects us, it protects the brand, and it's going to be great for us to be able to use that wherever we want to. So anything that you can do on that would be really helpful. And again, just thank you so much for all the support everyone has given us, because this 9 weeks has been manic, but it has been fantastic. So thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Lindsay. I look forward to seeing the ladies team as well. Right, so then next we've got, and that item comes up later in the agenda, so you can watch on YouTube later. So then we've got Lauren from Barnaby. Is that right?
I believe, Madam Mayor, Abby was going to go first. That's
Oh,
okay.
I beg your pardon, Abby.
We'll share our 3 minutes if that's all right. Yeah, so if you want to start off the timer off, Laura, then thank you very much for inviting us here today. And it's very difficult to follow that amazing story of Macclesfield and the rejuvenation of the football club. So we are speaking to a proposal for some additional funding for Barnaby Festival to support, well, we've called it a trail, and we've also called it Redux. I don't know if you know what Redux means. It basically means bringing something back positively, and actually it should be Macclesfield Redux. I found out the word Redux only normally comes at the end of the sentence. I'm Abby Gilmore, I'm the co-chair of Barnaby Festival. And in my day job, I'm a senior lecturer in arts management and cultural policy at the University of Manchester. I'm also involved in some research that is looking at the impacts of COVID on the arts and cultural sector at the moment. And last week we announced from that research that unfortunately there have already been 55,000 job losses in the sector as a result, and there are very many more to come. So one of the things I wanted to make sure you realise today was that something that this proposal can do is not just rejuvenate Macclesfield and bring, in partnership with our many friends in the town, the opportunity for people to experience arts and culture and to come together in a safe way. But also it provides the opportunity for employment for artists, and that's really crucial. It also gives us an opportunity to spotlight creativity in the town in a very visible way, and to work with our communities in order to kind of realise opportunities and experiences that they want to kind of co-create themselves, and also to work with partners to animate different spaces, and indeed Moss Rose might be one of them. So you can look to our longer proposal document if you want more detail. The idea is that we would like to, working with partners and with the existing and forthcoming new public artworks in the town, to create a trail that we can market through our new digital offer. Those of you who know us well at Barnaby Festival know that we have not only managed to put on a homemade parade during June this year, but we've also just launched the Second Sight digital platform, which will help us to market and to reach new audiences, and to tell them about the local artists in the town. So the proposal is for 3 new artworks, and for marketing and for the producing of those artworks, that's looked after by the careful hand of Barnaby. And I'm now going to turn to Lauren, who'll tell you a little bit more about what the benefits might be for the town.
We really believe that the project that we're putting forward is a community consultation. We have not made any creative decisions yet. We want to involve people in these creative decisions about Macclesfield and reinvigorating the town and get their input of how we can, you know, increase the footfall inside and outside of the town centre. And by promoting a free outdoor trail, we also are looking to promote the Macclesfield cultural participation is for the digitally excluded as well, and is more inclusive in that way, as some people might have not been able to engage with anything that's been reimagined this year online because of coronavirus restrictions. But by promoting a safe outdoor trail, it also invites inclusivity in that way. And also we want to engage many people in what we want to put on and where these sites will be and what the artwork will look like. Thank you.
Okay, are we under time? If we're under time, I'd just like to say there's also fundraising opportunities within that. So we would add value with the existing work that we're already going to put on in June this year, including the newly local artist Liz West, and of course the fantastic version of the Barnaby Parade.
Fantastic, ladies. Thank you very much for that presentation. And as I said before, we'll come to that on item 8.2 later in the agenda, and you can watch on YouTube. So thank you very much for that presentation. Thank you all the speakers this evening. So now we'll reconvene our meeting proper while people go off and get a cup of tea and watch YouTube. And we'll move to item 3, which are the minutes of the full council meeting of the 28th of September 2020. And our action here is to approve the minutes. Do you have a prayer? Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
Madam Mayor, I'll move approval of the minutes.
Thank you. Town Clerk, Laura.
I was just going to say to the speakers, they can leave if you want and go and watch us on YouTube, just in case, because I know some have left and some haven't. So we're just chipping in.
Thank you very much again, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, I'm that busy looking at my agenda. Okay, sorry, and Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second the minutes moved by Councillor Jackson.
Super. All those in favour? Lovely. Thank you, that's carried. Okay. Item 4, are there any matters arising from the minutes of the 28th of September? No, everybody happy? I gather Mick's happy, he's having trouble with his broadband. Okay, thank you very much. So now we'll move on to item 5, which are the minutes of the Planning Committee, and we're just to note these. Several minutes there, we've been very busy on the Planning Committee as ever. So we'll just need to note them. And then are there any matters arising? We've got an item here, 5.5, on the conservation area appraisal and the tender for that. And I believe, thank you, Councillor Hutchinson wants to say something on this. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, one of our principal functions is to promote and look after the interests of Macclesfield. And what we're trying to do here with the Town Centre Conservation Area Review is we're seeking full council approval for the evaluation of tenders for the Macclesfield Conservation Review. The last time we did a review of this kind was in 2005, so it's quite out of date. So we're asking that the evaluation of the 9 tenders is delegated to the following members and officers, and that's to myself and Councillor Wilson, Councillor Jackson, the Town Clerk, and the Admin and Governance Manager. All 5 members of that team have copies of the 9 tenders and will address those against criteria. And those criteria, as you may have seen in your pack, are based on 40% quality, 20% the methodology, and also 40% on the final costs of those. So we'll look at those independently. Each of the 5 members of the team will look at those independently. We will send those, our personal assessment, to the admin and governance manager on the 4th of January. And then the following day at 11 o'clock on the 5th, we're going to meet again as a team to go through those and to get our preferred order. So when we do that, we'll be deciding who's won that contract. So that report from the 5th of January will go forward to the planning meeting on the 15th of January. And following that, if it gets through that, then it will be submitted to the next full council meeting for approval. So that's the process. And we're just looking for your support or comments on that process.
Lovely. Do I have any other speakers on that item? And Mike, I gather you're proposing that.
Yeah, I'm proposing that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to second the proposal by Councillor Hutchinson. He's clearly gone through and outlined the process we are adopting for the tenders for the conservation area review. And this is the project that we have been pursuing for some time now, and I'm delighted that we're making such good progress. Conservation area review is very important for a town like Macclesfield and how that fits in with our planning policy, our activities. And I'm very pleased that we have in fact had so many tenders to come forward. There are 9 groups, firms, etc., who've tendered for this. So we've got a good choice. I'm happy to second the proposal from Councillor Hutchinson. In due course, the proposal will come back to full council, and they will be able to endorse the recommendation from the planning committee.
Lovely, thank you. And I do like a good marking scheme as well. So all those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, moving on. Right, item 6 then, it's the minutes of the Finance Committee, and they're just to note. And the matters arising from that then is to approve the spend 2020-2021 to date, which is £423,503. You'll have to apologise. I'd have to accept my apologies because they only work up to 20 in school. Councillor Cuttick, thank you. Please save me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'd like to propose that we approve the 2020-21 spend up to date of £423,503. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchinson and Councillor.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to second that proposal.
Lovely. Okay. So all those in favour? Thanks, everybody. That's carried. Okay. Need to do more work on my numbers. Right. So then on to the Services Committee. And we've got the draft minutes of the Services Committee, which was on the 23rd of November. And that's just to note the minutes. Do we have any matters arising from them minutes? Didn't think we do. We've had quite a bit of discussion at our items on the agenda later, so that's fine. So let's move on to section 8 now, community delivery. And we've got our Chief Inspector, Jez Taylor, here from the local policing unit to talk to us. Thank you, Jez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Great. This is obviously building on the last meeting, which I believe was back in September, maybe beginning of October. And obviously I joined you to give you an update. And I think clearly I was invited back. So one of the reasons I wanted to do was just take this opportunity and answer any questions from any of your fellow councillors that are online at the moment. What I will do is just give you a very brief update as to where we've been since September. Obviously, we've been subject to tier 2 restrictions for the past couple of weeks since we came out of the national lockdown. Certainly the national lockdown and the period that lasted for was a very different experience to that which we had over the summer. Obviously, we're moving out of that, and I'm not going to say towards a period of normality, because certainly it's far from that, especially for the hospitality sector, etc. But obviously, we're just trying to make sure that the policing response is appropriate. We're out there enforcing the legislation when it's required, but primarily we're there to educate, and enforcement is the last sort of action we'll take, but we will take if appropriate. I know there's been a lot of change for everyone locally in terms of what the COVID legislation has been, and we're not trying to catch people out, but it's important that we are there to educate, and unfortunately to a small minority that do choose to ignore. Enforcement is the option that we will take where appropriate. So it's certainly been a challenging time over the past few weeks, and obviously as we're moving towards into the Christmas and that festive period, hopefully you'll see my office is going to be far more visible out and about in the town centres as we start to see the footfalls starting to increase. So really, I just want to take this opportunity to answer any questions that any of the members may have.
Thank you, Jez. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Puttick.
Thanks a lot, Jez, for coming to speak to us. It was just really a question about enforcement of the town centre for the with traffic, and the fact that the COVID lockdown has meant sort of in some cases negative change of behaviour in terms of people trying to drive through, and whether the enforcement's still going on with that.
Okay, I can't give you any just for my own information. At what point are the barriers still automatic, or are they actually locked down, John?
Town Clerk.
The barriers are down during the day between 11 and 4. Right,
okay. And is this a sort of time period, Councillor Puttick, we're seeing issues? Sorry, I caught you out there.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's a two-way discussion, very much. But it was just around so when basically around main traffic times, I've just noticed an increase, and I was just wondering about that.
Okay, I mean, clearly it's a pedestrianised zone in the town centre, and unless vehicles, there obviously are certain exemptions around deliveries, etc. But if vehicles are travelling there and they don't meet the exemptions, then it is something we'll look to enforce. I don't actually have the details to hand in terms of what the local policing team have been done there, but I will make sure to speak to them just to make sure that it's up there as one of their priorities. I know they have run operations in the past few months. As to whether or not we've done one most recently since the national lockdown ended, I'd have to double check.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. Yes, it's been an ongoing issue, Jez, actually. I'm the councillor for Central Ward Town Centre. Yes. So I've known these ongoing issues, and people use the centre of the town as a rat run. After 4 o'clock, it's pretty busy, or it has been in the past. It's pretty busy with vehicles running through the middle of the town. Also, Queen Victoria Street is noted. People just do not take note of the restrictions, and it's supposed to be no vehicles at any time, not just the middle of the period, 11 till 4. It's supposed to be at no time should vehicles go through there, and they are constantly going through that. They're coming up Queen Victoria Street, turning left and going down Mill Street, although we have had people trying to turn right and go up Mill Street on a one way, so those are the two, particularly they are the two areas, and also people coming through and then going down or in and out of back Wallgate, Church Wallgate, the one down to the market. There's use of that one as well. Okay. So yeah, it is a problem. It is a problem, and also, Chestergate can be an issue too. Once we got the barriers opened, people do abuse it, and they might be saying, "Well, I'm just accessing one of the bank, the bank machines, to get my money out or something." But really, I don't think people should be,
No,
to
no,
my
I mean,
view, that's an abuse.
and that isn't an exemption. I'd have to get the wording in front of me, but the way the exemptions are written are for deliveries and collections, bank machines, getting money out of a cash point does not classify under that category.
No. The other issue, just as we're talking about town centre pedestrianised scheme, is that there are people who will go and park on the marketplace. I'm thinking outside the coffee shops. They drive in before the barriers are closed, and then they will leave the cars there all day in front of the cafes, using it as a parking area. That does happen. Now, whether since the lockdown that has occurred, I can't.
Okay, so it certainly have not, because obviously they've got the stable there as well, haven't they, in the centre?
Yes, yes. So it may, since we've had the tree up, that may not have happened, but certainly prior to the Christmas tree being erected,
we were getting issues there.
Earlier in the year. That was another quite a common occurrence. So there are a few issues there that Councillor Puttick's highlighted.
Okay, no problem at all. I'll make sure the local people are onto that.
Thanks, Janice. And Councillor Wilson, did you have something to add?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a comment and then a question. I first of all wanted to thank Jez for the continuing progress and good relations that we have now with our PCSOs. The allocation of PCSOs and the PC per ward has been a real good development for us, particularly in the current COVID times. As a councillor, I'm seeing a big increase in antisocial behaviour and neighbour nuisance, which is being dealt with very well by the police and actually Cheshire East councillors as well, who have a antisocial behaviour unit there. We have seen an increase in antisocial behaviour in South Park, which, whilst it's in Central Ward, it's a back garden of the Moss, and a lot of the residents of South Ward are using it, and the increased patrols in there are helping. So thank you for that. It's been a very positive development and working relationship with the PCSO, certainly on South Ward. I'm certain other councillors can speak for their own experience. My question is about the Cheshire's Anti-Bullying Commission. As councillors, we receive the newsletter from the Police and Crime Commissioner, David Keane, and he's recently mentioned about the Anti-Bullying Commission and one of the recommendations to develop a Cheshire-wide approach to tackling bullying and the anti-bullying charter people are being asked to sign up for. Bullying is an issue which sadly is increasing very much in society, whether it's in our schools or in society itself. Certainly as a councillor, antisocial behaviour is a form of bullying. Could you give us some insight on what's actually happening in regard of that in Macclesfield, please?
In regards to it's not something I know I'm aware of the commission, but I'm not fully aware of the sort of the details within it in terms of what we're trying to do. Obviously, it's something that the PCSOs will be actively involved with the schools, etc. But as to giving you a more specific update, I'd struggle to give you one off the top of my head. But more than happy to come back and talk to you at the next meeting about it.
Thank you. And Councillor Harewood next.
Thank you, Chair. I think one of the remarks I would have liked to support is the improving and good and steady relationships we have with the local police in the local ward. I think it's greatly appreciated. I can't say that we have more. I'd like to think that the Western Estate has improved magnificently from the 50 years I've lived in it. But we like that because I find this working together very, very useful, very, very useful. But I wasn't sure that when you talked about, and with Councillor Jackson, about the exceptions in the town, knowing she is the town councillor, I feel that those exceptions have not, in my estimation, proven to be harmful because once people respect each other, those exceptions have been made for people who have to pick up heavy loads in those streets that have no parking. And they are greatly appreciated. That when you can pick up goods that you can't otherwise carry to the car parks. And when you get into that situation, I can assure you, it's greatly appreciated that you can, after 4, you can stop and pick up your goods. So I'm not sure if you said what you said about that, but I think because outcomes in those areas have not been proven to be otherwise, it can be a nuisance. I would appreciate those restrictions from 11 till 4, fine, but after 4, the ability to pick up anything along Mill Street is problematic. If you are disabled, old, whatever, and I feel that unless they're proven to be detrimental or abusive or killing people, I really appreciate those exceptions. Thank you, Dr. Mayor.
I agree with you completely, Councillor Harewood. I think that, the officers, when they do operations there, will always take a very pragmatic view of what an individual's doing, and certainly making collections of heavy items and stuff would fit that category. If it's purely based around laziness, then sadly that won't. But that's not what you were talking about. So that would be absolutely reasonable.
That's absolutely fine. It comes under the Equality Act, so we're all right with that one. Has anyone else got any comments or questions? Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question for Jez. Being a hospitality owner myself, I'm just wondering if you could answer the question. We're closed, by the way. We've been closed as other establishments have. What resources are put into policing the hospitality sector, and has there been, what response have you had from the hospitality sector with regards overcrowding, especially in pubs where people have been drinking and not eating? Have there been problems, or has it been quite well received by yourselves and the trade in general? Thank you.
If we're being really honest, in Macclesfield, I've had very few complaints about the running of the licensed trade. Obviously, when we do get information, obviously very mindful, sometimes it can be malicious, sometimes it can be accurate, but what we will do is make sure that that's followed through and a visit's undertaken. Visit will always be a very pragmatic approach by the officers, but what we have, and it seems to have seen, is a big sort of drop off in the numbers we have got in the town centre that we would ordinarily have at this time of year, coming into Christmas. Now, what that has done is meant that we haven't had the number of officers focused on the town centre at 3 o'clock in the morning as we would have. But what we have seen is that demand has been displaced out into the communities where we will see large gatherings either outside in public areas. I think as the council was previously talking about, South Park, places like that, where people will congregate because they can't congregate within the confines of a pub. Likewise, we'll see people going into households, and that leads to calls, and that's where the officers will be attending to. So we've seen a displacement, what we'd ordinarily be dealing with. But we will follow through if we do get information about premises not adhering to rules, because it's important, that particularly with the increases we're starting to see across Cheshire East in terms of the COVID infection rate.
Thank you. Last one, Councillor Hutchinson.
Yeah, just got a question about PCSOs. I've just been in position on the council since late June or July, and beginning to build a relationship with the PCSO in the Western. It was Mel, and then I was due to go over for a meeting about a project we were kind of planning together. And on the very morning, she rang me and said that she was no longer going to be the PCSO. So it was a very sudden change. But my question really to you is, would you encourage PCSOs to get involved, especially by encouraging some of the teenagers in the area to get involved in community projects? It was also mentioned to me that there was there's £1,000 grant available, which required matched funding. So my question on that one is would you apply for, say, £200 from that fund and have to match it to get a £400 grant in total to carry out some of smaller projects?
I'll address both points there, Councillor Hutchinson. We moved Mel for reasons I don't want to go into on a public forum. In terms of the grants that are available, the Police and Crime Commissioner has monies available to him from the Proceeds of Crime Act, i.e. when we put bad people before the courts and they've got ill-gotten gains and living far beyond their means, the courts can take those assets off them, which means that we do have quite a substantial pot of funding. Now, the Police and Crime Commissioner has made that available for community bids, and each of the 122 wards across the county can make a bid for up to £1,000. Now, it's also been suggested that the match funding has to be made. Now, that match funding does not have to be just in the form of cash. It can be in terms of time. It can be in terms of volunteers committing time. There are other ways that match funding can. It's a matched commitment is probably the best way of wording it, as opposed to a match funding. If there's match funding available, then that's absolutely fine. But likewise, if there's a commitment from local volunteers, etc., then that will also be sufficient. It's to make sure that the groups that are bidding are also committed to what they're asking for. And what I'd encourage all the members to do is to speak to their local PCSOs. If there are community groups, if there are things you see within your wards that would benefit from this approach, by all means, link in with your local PCSO or contact myself, and we can submit a bid on your behalf and see whether or not it's that bid is agreed. What I would say is it's quite a tight turnaround. It has to be done by the sort of middle of January. So if there are community bids out there, community groups, etc., that would benefit, then by all means, please contact me or your local PCSO, and we'll get that progressed.
Thank you very much, Jez. Thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for all your hard work and your support with various matters.
No problem at all. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Right.
May I be excused?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Thank you very much. I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Watch on YouTube. Go and have a cup of tea. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, everybody. It's an important issue, and do put in for that grant as well. It's a good way to spend somebody's ill-gotten gains. So let's move on now to item 8.2, which is the Barnaby proposal that we heard the speakers at the beginning of the meeting. And this action is to consider the Redux proposal from Barnaby. Do I have any speakers? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you to Abigail and Lauren. Abigail and Lauren for speaking on the proposal. My view when I saw this on the report and saw this on the council papers was that I considered that it would be difficult to get it in place for next summer. I really felt that 6 months was a very short length of time for this to come through, particularly with wanting to consult with residents and maybe to schools. You know, they want a lot of involvement with the community, and to get planning permissions that may be required, and to decide on locations for the artworks and what these artworks are going to be. I mean, we've had some more information, yes, but I still am concerned that it could be done in time and done to the level and quality that Barnaby would want it to be as well, because they always do, you know, excellent work around the town. They're known for it, and I'd just be concerned that this might be rushed if they're trying to get it done in a short length of time. So my view at the moment is, and I don't know that even deferring it to services, how much that would do. We could get more information, yes, which would help us. And I'm quite happy to support it. But what I would say is, I think we should be, or not me, not we, but Barnaby should maybe be looking at it for the year after next, for 22, for summer 22 rather than summer 21. And that's how I feel, to do it justice and have the time and the consultation with the local people. You know, I just feel it's not, they really they're challenging themselves far too much, I think, to take this on in such a short space of time. Okay. So we can defer it to services to maybe make a decision at services, or we could defer it to the next council meeting. Okay. So anyway, I won't move anything, but those are my thoughts on it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Following on from Councillor Jackson's comments, I would also like to thank both Abby and Lauren for giving us more information about this project. Particularly pleased to hear that there is going to be consultation with local organisations to decide about the artworks, to liaise with both the things in the town centre and actually in the wards outside the town centre. I do feel that this is a longer project to deliver all of it for the summer, but I think that it could easily be a 2-year project, because we're talking about three particular trail stroke activities here. So if one could be delivered by the summer, or maybe 2, I think that is something that would be of great benefit, because I think the Barnaby parade that was organised, the virtual parade, was excellent. We are now moving into the virtual world with a lot of our activities, and we have some trail activities planned. I mean, our winter trail is now going to be in the new year because of COVID, but this is the way to go. So, I mean, I feel that there's a couple of options here. One option is to refer it to the Services Committee, which would mean we could get more information. The information I was looking for, I feel I did get this evening from the speakers. I was concerned to hear how it was going to work with consultation with local organisations. And I do support the project as Councillor Jackson does. And I feel that what we could actually do this evening is make an allocation of £5,000 towards the project, to get the project started, have a report to the next Services Committee on how things are going. Because if things are going well, the next Services Committee could decide to make additional grant funding, because of course that is within the remit of the Services Committee. The Services Committee could award the whole amount of £10,000 within their terms of reference. But if we made a decision this evening to initially fund £5,000 to get the project started, we could refer the project to the next Services Committee, where we could review the progress, we could have input and hear how the consultation is going. And then if necessary, the Services Committee could add additional funding, or in fact wait for a future full council meeting to make more funding. But I think let's get the project started is what I would say, having heard what I've heard this evening. But again, like Councillor Jackson, I'm interested to hear what other councillors think about it.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Hutchinson.
Yeah, it sounds like a way forward, that, because I was obviously very concerned about the fact that we're going to miss a big opportunity for fundraising here, and a big opportunity potentially, if we get this vaccine sorted, for a fantastic community event. So I know it's perhaps a little bit of a halfway house, but it might be the answer to see how things go. I was a little bit concerned. I know it sounds a little bit strange for a community group that to go to community a lot of community consultation. Now these things have been running a long time. I wonder how much community consultation we need. And if that's holding the process up or delaying it too much, then perhaps that could be streamlined a little, which might maybe not what other people think. But I certainly think that's a way forward, that halfway house.
I understood that, Mike, as to be that that would involve the community to have that interest in the project, rather than, you know, like a survey we've been doing, more to get them involved in the project. And there has, just from the chair, there has been projects in Liverpool, like with the lamb banana and penguins in various schools that pop up. And there's been similar ones, I think, in Manchester with cows and stuff like that. So it can be done. The football club's been rescued in 9 weeks. But I do like the idea of a halfway house, just from the chair, sorry. Councillor Jackson would like to speak again.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just to come back on it, really, I think the consultation is going to be for actually to maybe decide where these works of art are going to go. So I think it's going to be I think it's a very focused consultation, just to find locations, sites for the works of art, maybe some input into style or design, but I think that really is mainly, that would be for the artists. So I think it's mainly location, and just to get the support of the local community, I think. Yeah.
Councillor Puttick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be abstaining from the votes because of, obviously, but I just thought, if it's okay, I would relay some of the general points about this sort of proposal that I've seen, which is that, I mean, I think it was on Countryfile last week, but they're talking about the huge value of community engagement. Community engagement is absolutely key with you know, for the future of towns going forward. And it's just, I just thought I'd say it's a bit of a strange thing, but the taking part is very important at the moment. That you know, we've got all sorts of groups from the crisis that need to take part and engage in activities across the town. You know, and just the other point is that, you know, collaboration absolutely key. I think it was mentioned by our speakers today, but Barnaby has worked with many different organisations and from different strands of Macclesfield, and continuing to do that would be really key. I certainly take on board what the other councillors are saying about time. I won't say any more about the specifics of it, but I thought I'd make those observations.
Thank you, Councillor Puttick. Councillor Harewood.
Thank you, Chair. I see I'm unmuted. I would like to follow what Councillor Puttick said, because for the time that I've seen Barnaby, it's been a good thing for the town. The questions I want to ask is, have these art pieces have already been decided? Have they already been decided where they'll be, hence the time scale? And if they are, do they reflect the diversity of what Macclesfield is now? I guess there is some idea with it because some movement has been made, but I would like to see that if and when these art pieces are decided and placed, they are reflecting Macclesfield as it emerges from what Macclesfield has been. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Harewood, I couldn't agree more. Right, I think we've got a range of views there. Councillor Wilson.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to move something and then to help move us on from listening to the comments of other colleague councillors. I would like to propose that we agree this project, that we make an initial allocation of £5,000 towards the project. We then refer the project to the next Services Committee, which is on the 8th of February, where the Services Committee can receive an update report from Barnaby as to how things are going. And then, if necessary, Services Committee could allocate further funding there. or if necessary, it could come back to the next full council meeting, which will be in March. So that's what I'm proposing. In speaking through the proposal very briefly, I agree with all the points that were made. I think it's particularly important that, as Councillor Harewood has said, that the arts project reflects the diversity and the heritage of Macclesfield. And I agree with points made by other councillors that the project must involve both the centre of the town and the outside wards. And I think that we heard this evening about the plans to this project to assist the town centre recovery, and of course Macclesfield itself needs to recover from COVID. We have faced the biggest challenge in my lifetime in terms of COVID, and I think that this project could deliver as Barnaby Parade Stroke Festival has delivered in the past. I mean, I can remember being involved in Barnaby activities since I was a tiny thing, so you know it's always been had a place in Macclesfield. So that is my proposal, Madam Mayor. In summary, we give £5,000 now. We refer to the Services Committee on the 8th of February for an update when they can either make further funding in line with the maximum £10,000 requested, or we could defer that to the March full council for a report. But I do feel very strongly that this is more than a few month project. I think this will take a couple of years. And actually, I would urge Barnaby Parade to take more time to do it and consult with residents and families in Macclesfield. And as confidence returns, as I'm certain it will, you know, the project may grow in the second year to be actually more getting together, which would be really desirable.
Yes, we'd hope so. So can I have a seconder for Councillor Wilson's proposal? Councillor Hutchinson.
Yeah, I'm very happy to second that. I think that's a really sensible way forward.
I think it's a good compromise, right? So all those in favour? Thank you. And Councillor Pusick is abstaining because of his connections. Thank you. Right, let's move on. So thank you everyone for that. I look forward to seeing what Barnaby will come up with. So let's have a look at our governance review now, which is item now, and the town clerk's been working very, very hard on this. And you're just going to say a few words for us, aren't you, Laura?
Yes, so the first document is the quality policy, which I've updated. You should be able to see where the updates are. If anybody wants me to go through them, it was everything highlighted in yellow. To be fair, it was all things that the council do. They just probably weren't in the policy. So it's just made that a bit more robust. The Finance Committee terms of reference were agreed at the last Finance Committee. Main changes were to take out chairman and replace with chair, and in line with the financial regulations to increase the spend that the Finance Committee can make to £10,000. The Planning Consultation Working Group, this was the consultation that I know that many councils worked very hard on, that had to get in October. So it's a retrospective one, but it's to put it in because it came after last full council meeting, so it's to ratify it. 9.4 is terms of reference for a character assessment working group. And 9.5 is online banking procedures, because we hope to get to be able to do online banking and make my life a lot easier without checks. And so that's ready and waiting when we can get the bank set up with online banking. So those are the 5 for governance review. And if anybody's got any questions on them.
As I said before, I do like a good scheme of work. I do like it in writing what is and isn't correct, and I do like the idea of quality. So unless anyone's got any comments or they want to clarify anything, we've had plenty of time to look at these and ask Laura questions. Right, so I'm going to take these on block, I think, because you've done an awful lot of work. We've had a lot of time to look at them before this evening. So Can I have a proposer for the full governance review? Thank you, Councillor Wilson, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Wilcock. Councillor Wilson, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to make a couple of very brief comments, Madam Mayor, if that's possible. Yeah, I wanted to thank the Town Clerk for the work she's put into all this and echo the points you've made about having good governance documents and, you know, being able, therefore, to run our council in an appropriate and well-governed manner. I think that we have taken the time to update our terms of reference to reflect our new more stricter governance requirements. We've adopted the National Association of Local Council Government guidance, which actually is stricter and relates to our increasing funding, our budget, etc. And I think that particularly the online banking procedures, Madam Mayor, are really vital for us with the current COVID situation. It has been very tricky sorting out getting checks and things signed, and you know, online banking is the way forward, and certainly in terms of making sure we always do pay our bills as quickly as possible, because we always generally are using local providers, of course. And then finally, I particularly want to comment on the character assessment working group. I'm delighted about the progress we're making with this. It's something I have been very much involved in and felt very strongly about the importance of this character assessment for our planning policy and our decisions as a planning committee within our within a bigger statutory consultee on planning documents. So I'm very pleased with the progress we've made on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely. Yes, and it's taking me into the 21st century with internet banking. Councillor Puttick, did you just want to say something?
Just very quickly, again, to thank the clerk for her work with this, but to echo what yourself and Councillor Wilson were saying about, you know, modernising the workings of the council, chair people, not the chairman, and also creating flexibility for certainly for point 9.2 to enable a sort of a good working financial setup for the council, and I think that's real flexibility to work. So I think that's really positive.
Yeah, well done, Laura. Right, so all those in favour? That's carried. Councillor Harewood, are you in favour? Yeah, thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you. Fantastic. Right, so item 10, the budget. So this is the budget for 21-22. Oh my word, where's the years going? And our action is to adopt the budget. We've had a look at it before. It's been recommended by the Finance Committee, and I believe Councillor Puttick, as the chair of the Finance Committee, you want to propose that for us? You're going to say a few words.
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. So I'd like to propose that we adopt the version 4 of the budget. I think it's very positive in terms of its outlook for the sort of the security and the sort of future of and how we can really engage with parts of the town to support them and be a part of the town. And I think if the town clerk would be able to give a few sort of specifics about it, because again, great work on her part with it.
Thank you, Councillor Puttick. From the main key differences from since it was presented at Finance Committee is just there was 2 more points that we would give surplus to the Mayor's chosen charity once we'd seen what the civic events budget looked like at the end of the financial year, and the same with Remembrance, give the surplus to the local branch of the Royal British Legion. We've worked very hard to make the budget align with the council's strategy. We're looking at getting the Kickstarter funding to employ 2 young people to work at the council, increasing our ranges to extend on the work with the public realm, and also to increase where the rangers can repair rather than replace. They're repairing benches, a fraction of the cost, and you know, supporting our environmental status and commitment. We have put introduction of ward budgets in, a COVID fund, to assist with issues that may arise with COVID that we may not even realise are issues right at this point. So that's in as a bit of a safety net, and some support for the voluntary sector. We have seen, especially in Macclesfield, our voluntary sector really rise to the challenge and the crisis. We want to help them make them more resilient and sustainable, so if we ever reach crisis again, they're ready to go again. And an increase for the Citizens Advice Bureau, and after hearing the Chief Officer, Will McCullough, this evening, how their numbers have massively increased, and how also that they do believe that there is probably a wave of debt and evictions to come that have been actually held off at the moment due to debt holidays, etc. So that's a brief tour of the budget again, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Laura. It's a good budget. It covers everything, and we're trying to help everybody, and employing people as well, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a few things within this which I would also like to highlight. They've already been mentioned, but I would still like to highlight them. Certainly, we have made an increase in the staffing resources because we've now got our new events and communication officer. And when I think from when we first started with the town council, coming up for 6 years ago now, we just had the clerk and our civic and governance officer. So we just had those two members of staff. And in the intervening years, we have done tremendously well now with the team that we have. With our admin person and our Helena, our events. I don't want to mention names really, but the events and our planning and admin and governance person. I mean, we have so many people now in the office working to provide this service that we have, and the range of service has increased from just one to now 3. So that's really pleasing that we're getting great feedback on the services we are giving to the people out there, particularly to have the increase in the grant to the CAB. I am biased because I'm a trustee there, and I do see the tremendous work they do. So to have increased their budget from 40,000 by another 10 to make it 50,000, but it's very well deserved. They do a tremendous amount of work for the people in our community. And just finally, the Kickstart. I'm really pleased to see this to help young people in the situation we're in at the moment, and to have two juniors coming in to help us. One with the Rangers and one to help with admin in the office. 6 months for 6 months each of them, and then hopefully, if all goes well, we can then repeat and have another 2 young people to come in. Get work experience. It's getting the work experience to help them to then move on. So I think it's a tremendous budget, and I'd like to second it. Thank you.
Lovely. Oh, thank you very much, Janet. That was lovely. Yes, it's very good. So, all those in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's carried. So we've got the money sorted out now. Let's move on. So, also in section 10, we've got item 10.2, which is to agree the terms of the CCTV contract. And we've got 2. It's a bit like getting your gas or your electricity again, isn't it? We've got a special deal here, haven't we, Laura? The town clerk's just going to explain that briefly, and we'll move on because we've still got 6 items to do.
Yes, so basically we go for a 1-year agreement or a 3-year agreement. If we go for the 3-year agreement, the price will be frozen for 3 years at the same price the 1-year agreement is, if that makes sense. So it's whether you want to go for 1 year or 3 years.
Okay, for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Councillor Jackson, briefly if you
Well,
can.
exactly. So yes, I'll propose that we go for the 3-year deal.
Lovely. Can I have a seconder, please? Oh, Councillor Hutchinson, I think you had your hand up first.
Yeah, I'll just formally second that.
Lovely. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. I wish my gas bill was the same, but there you go. Right, swiftly moving on. Thank you very much, everybody. Item 11, the Town Centre Recovery Working Group have been doing some fantastic work. And we have a report there, we're to note that. But does anyone just, Councillor Wilson, if you just want to briefly make a quick report on that for me, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to bring people up to date on the latest developments. The Town Centre Recovery Working Group is making excellent progress, and we've reported regularly to both the Services Committee and the full council. We are finalising the recovery plan now, and we'll be consulting in the new year with a wider focus group and interested parties. The town clerk has done a detailed written report, but just for people watching who may not have seen that, I'd just like to highlight that we had a very wide consultation with residents and businesses. We had 586 responses to our resident survey, and 76 local businesses completed a survey, and we had 5 fact-finding sessions made up of residents, retailers, hospitality, organisation, cultural and digital. We are working very much on this working group with both our Cheshire East colleagues and with stakeholders in Macclesfield, people who have brought something to the working group because of their expertise and experience. We're all aware of the excellent Christmas activities. I'd just like to say that our Christmas tree that you can send a message to is unique. It's the only one in the country, and I know that it's been very, very popular with particularly with children who are learning about Morse code and sending their messages to the tree. Hot off the presses, I'm very pleased to say that we now have deployed 16 hand sanitisers in the town centre in Macclesfield. I'm very also pleased to say that local businesses have adopted those hand sanitizer stations, so they'll be taking care of them, taking them in at night, making sure they've got enough sanitizer in them, because one of our key responsibilities is to make a safe place in Macclesfield for people to feel safe and confident to come there. But we've even got one outside our very own town hall. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And it's absolutely brilliant to see democracy from the ground up in Macclesfield town, and working with various stakeholders, residents, businesses and so on. And I do like I see it on Facebook today, the town ranger was going around with the hands, putting the hands up. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Does anyone else want to very briefly comment on that, or should we just take that as read and say thank you very much for the fantastic work for everybody working on that action group? Thank you. They're all happy with that. Fantastic. Right, so let's move on to the South Park Pavilion. This has been going on for a while, so we've got a report to note here. But with Councillor Jackson, which it's in your ward, would you like to give us a little update, please?
You can see the report in the papers, but just for the benefit of people who may be watching and haven't seen the report, we're now going through the draft heads of terms with Cheshire East Council, and we have legal support with these draft heads, so we're making sure everything is fine with them. We just have a couple of points that we need to clarify, which are when the lease will actually begin, at what point will it begin on our process through dealing with the heads of terms and actually taking the property, the asset over, and also what the planning class of the pavilion will be. There's been a change in planning classes just very recently, and this has caused a little bit of a discussion as to just exactly what we can use the pavilion for. We know what we want to use it for, but we've just got to make sure that the planning classes that we sign to will ensure we can do all that we want to do. So we've requested a meeting with Cheshire East, and this is going to take place just prior to Christmas. So that's with Peter Skates, and we also have the Cheshire East portfolio holder for Environment and Regeneration, Councillor Nick Mannion. And we're hoping that meeting with them, we can resolve the issues that are concerning. So, you know, we are hoping now that once this is resolved, we will be coming back to next full council with the heads of terms clarified and the whole programme of how we will be going forward, and we can really get this project underway. We've got it rolling at the moment, but it just needs to pick up a bit of speed.
Yes, well, there's all those legal bits take a while, don't they? So we'll get that sorted and we'll have the pavilion back. It's in our town, it's our pavilion. We'll get it sorted. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much, Janet. Right, so item 13, it's a pity this is so far down the agenda, but I'm hoping that the team from the football are watching. Macclesfield Town, I nearly said Town Council Football Club, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Macclesfield Town Football Club. So the action is to approve the logo. Here's one we prepared earlier. It's the blue lion, Macclesfield Lion, that was it was given as part of the charter, town charter in 1261 by Edward I, no less. Thank you for the history lesson previously, Janet. I did read it in the Blue Book, but this special lion, only we can approve this, so it's very special to us, as is the football club. So our action is to approve the use of the logo for Macclesfield Football Club. So do I have a proposer? Councillor Wilcock.
Thanks, Chad. I just want to say a couple of bits, if I may. So from the last council meeting where we had Patrick and Mike Grants from the Community Supports Trust to come to speak to us about the way that the football club was going. Myself and Councillor Shenton were invited to try and meet with some of the members. I'm pleased to say that we met with Rob Smethurst, the new owner of the football club, Patrick Birch from the board, Andy Worth from the Sunderland Supporters Trust, and Mike Grants from the Community Supports Trust. We had a good discussion of the vision that Rob, the new owner of the football club, has, and myself and Tony Finn were impressed with the way that he wants it to go. For those on Facebook, some of the works that's been put around, it looks absolutely fantastic. Some of the offices that have now gone, so where the gym space is going to be. The new offices are going to be where the old boardroom is. It's going to be so different and strange going back to the football club and seeing all these new bits and new buildings going up. Obviously, Patrick did mention that there's close to 600 memberships or season tickets, which in 9 weeks, I think it was an absolutely phenomenal response from the town. I had a chat with Patrick yesterday evening just to pick a couple of points up. So not only are the planning application for the new pitch, they're actually going to be installing new floodlights. The pylons are staying as they are, but they're going to be LED lights, which obviously goes in with our vision of a climate emergency that the town council have declared. So from the football club, that's an absolutely fantastic point to go on. Obviously, in relation to the club crest, which is the lion holding the green sheaf, it's been in situ since 1874. I've got many shirts at home with that logo on, and I'll be pleased to say that I'd like to wear more of them going forward. So it doesn't just link with the football club, it also links with the town, and obviously people up and down the country have got them. You go to away games, and it's proud to be associated with that. So if I may, I'd like to propose that we actually take on the approval for the lion to be used on the new crest of Macclesfield Football Club.
Lovely, thank you, Chris. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'll certainly second Chris's proposal. Why wouldn't we? You know, it's the town football club, and the blue lion is the emblem of the town. You know, and we're very proud. We're very proud to display it as the town council, and I know that the football club is equally very proud to display the lion, and to maintain the history. I mean, it's great that it seems they're going to be allowed to keep the date of 1874. I mean, that is brilliant, because I must admit I was a little concerned that with a small break that we'd had, whether that would be allowed. So I mean, that's great that they can keep the year as well, and that history and the tradition. One point, if they're listening out there, which I think maybe they may be, Lindsay, great to be on the board, a woman on the board, but the only woman on the board. Ooh, I think they need to think about that. You know, they're promoting women, they're promoting an elite ladies team, but I think they really need to be considering maybe another one or two more ladies to give their view. We know quite a lot about football, actually. You know, I mean, I've been a season ticket holder in the past, and I'm now a member. Well, my husband's a member, and I've joined with him. So yeah, so I think it's great, and every great luck to them. I think they're going to do tremendously well. They've got all the town behind them. There's a real momentum and movement going there, and I just think it's great, and all strength to their elbow.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Janice. Yeah, absolutely. It's like a fairy tale. It's a turnaround, isn't it? From everyone was like, no, we're going to lose our football club, we've got COVID, we're going to lose the club, to turn it around from local people supporting the club, a local owner. It's a fairy tale come true. So yeah, and I agree with Janet, it is a women's town. We do need more women in the boardroom. So yeah, not just on the pitch. Right, this girl can. Right, okay, so all those in favour. Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilson, I'm getting carried away, as usual.
No, I fully understand why you're getting carried away, Madam Mayor, because what's happened since we last met as a full council, and we all wore our Macclesfield town football gear to show solidarity and support to our football team, and it's amazing and brilliant that the progress has been made. I just wanted to speak very briefly as a ward councillor, because the football ground is in South Ward, and I also had a very useful discussion with Patrick last night about community activity. Very much wants to be involved in the community on the Moss Rose, and extend an invitation to attend the Moss Rose Partnership, which I chair, which has representatives of the entire community in Macclesfield South attending. As you know, I can run upstairs now and look at the football ground from my bedroom window. Yeah. I live that close to it, and there's great progress being made. And to hear that there's plans to have community use for 2 days a week, the community room is absolutely brilliant. And an elite women's football team, again, absolutely excellent. And I entirely have my support for the fact that there should be more women on the board, and I'm sure that will be listened to and taken on board as well. But I very much look forward to working with the club, and I'll be in contact with Patrick to make introductions and make sure that, you know, the people of the Moss and Macclesfield South are also engaged in football activity. But the Macclesfield Town Council Planning Committee will be considering the application on Friday. As our planning committee, as a statutory consultee, will be commenting on the proposal. And as Councillor Wilcock has said, you know, the environment has been addressed in a number of the proposals being made. So I'm delighted that there has been such great progress since we last met as a council, and congratulate all those involved. Thank you.
Well done. Councillor Hutchinson, please. Thank you.
Yeah, could I just ask any of the board members or any supporters watching that there is another club formed in 1874, who were the Lions, who were over my shoulders. So when I get their first match, we can maybe
Could you mute him, please?
a friendly with Aston Villa would be a superb start to their life on the road.
No, it's not the place for those discussions at a town council meeting. Right, can I say all those in favour? That's unanimous. Well done, well done. Okay, so we're almost there. Are there any members' items? Not today, good. Is there any correspondence, Town Clerk? No, good.
Madam Mayor?
Yes?
I don't know when to bring this up now, but I have actually now received apologies from Councillor Shenton and Councillor Edwards, so I'll add that to the minutes.
All right, okay.
Just for their sake.
Found their email now. That's
Yeah.
good, and I'm glad that's been recorded before the end of the meeting. Well done. Okay, right. I thought it was unusual. I did think it was unusual to have a couple of faces missing. So there's no member items and there's no correspondence. We know who's given the apologies. We've got the football club done and dusted. We've agreed everything else. The date and time of the next meeting, or just before I tell you the date and time of the next meeting, what I'd like to do is to just wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and an even better New Year. It's been a terrible year, but we've got through it mainly on Zoom. We have helped seriously. We have helped a lot of people, a lot of charities. We've even gone out and done a bit of cooking ourselves and a bit of shopping and stuff for other people. You know, and we are doing our best. We do care about everyone, and we do sincerely wish you the very best Christmas you can have and an even better New Year. So the date and time of our next meeting, full council meeting, will be next year. Hopefully we'll be able to meet in person. If not, we'll be on Zoom again. You can watch us on YouTube. It's the 29th of March 2021, where have those years gone, at 7 o'clock. So either watch us on YouTube or come to Town Hall, hopefully. So we'll see you all then. Thank you and good night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Next week.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.